So yeah, what do you think? Is AI overhyped? Answer in one word, all at the same time on the count of 3. Answer the question in one word. Okay, is AI overhyped? 3, 2, 1. Let's ask AI. Is AI overhyped? One word. I think that's a good answer, right? Yeah, let's compare it with internet. Internet, right? Internet was really overhyped. Do you remember? I don't know. And any of you got old farts like me, right? Around in the 90s, internet came, really cool thing, but it was totally overhyped, wasn't it? There was a bubble.com, right? Big companies, just people just threw money at any company that could spell the word HTML. And then it all kind of collapsed like a big house of cards, and it disappeared. Actually, no way, it didn't. Internet's still here. But the bubble burst. The technology changed the world forever, and now you can't basically run a company or do any kind of job without internet. So I think it's kind of similar with AI. Yes, it's overhyped. Yes, there's a bubble. It's going to pop. It's going to be chaos. But the technology is here to stay. So this talk is very pragmatic. I'm going to warm up with just 2 metaphors. Barbara talked this morning about metaphors, and I love metaphors. I overuse them entirely. My metaphors for this is either that one, you have Einstein in your basement, or your favorite genius, whatever, is in your basement. You could talk to them anytime. They never run out of patience, and they pretty much know the sum of all human knowledge. But they also make mistakes sometimes and hallucinate, just like we do, right? Or this other metaphor, which I think is my favorite now, which is this kind of intelligence as a service, right? A brain floating in the cloud. You can use it like an external CPU, essentially. The biggest limitation, and I've been working a lot with coding with AI kind of assistants for the past 1.5 years, and I keep bumping into this realization that the biggest limitation is me, not the models itself. Whenever it writes bad code, it's almost always because of me. I didn't give it the right context. I wrote the prompt bad. Something. It very rarely actually makes mistakes, at least if you use the good models. So that's kind of an important realization that prompt engineering or prompt design or prompt imagination, there's different aspects of this, is really, really important. And it's a skill that we all kind of need to learn. And we all kind of suck at it in the beginning. So, of course, the second limitation is the models themselves, right? Don't use the free models for coding. Just don't. They produce really bad code. At least the ones, like ChatGPT free version. It's a great toy, but not for actual serious use. Claude, the latest version, or GPT-4o, really amazing at coding. In half a year, we're going to laugh at them. I think they're really stupid because they keep improving, but right now they're actually useful for coding, while these, for example, the current free version of GPT Mini is a little more like having a smart teenager in your basement instead of having Einstein in your basement. So useful in some contexts, but not for really, complex coding. My goal for this talk is to help people. This is kind of my mission in general, is to help people to get to the middle of this scale. And what's this scale? Well, on the left end, we have this kind of denial side where, oh my God, or more like, I don't have time to look at this AI shit. I got work to do. Or no, it doesn't work. I tried it yesterday. I got a bad result. It doesn't work. Or we don't have time to look at it because we have so much to do. This is dangerous. Here lies unemployment. Because it's really hard to live in a world when everyone else is being really productive because of this. And you're like, no, I'm too smart. I don't need this. So dangerous corner. The other side is the panic corner. Like, oh my God, you realize, holy shit, this is really effective and nobody needs me anymore. This thing can do my job better than me. And then you kind of panic. Not a very nice corner to be in either. I'm hoping kind of to get everyone more towards the middle, because this is my experience that when you really learn to use this as a tool, it makes you productive. And that feels really good, both as a person and as a team. It not only makes you feel good, but it also improves your odds of thriving and surviving in the age of AI. So that's kind of the goal of this talk, to inspire everyone kind of to move towards this middle part of it. We live in strange times, though. It's kind of the Wild West. I like to compare with when internet just came, or when the App Store was just released. Anybody remember this app, iBeer? I actually found it. I actually got it to work. It's still around. I'm really sad. I was unable to. I normally do demos on my phone, but I couldn't share it for some reason right now. So you don't get my cool phone demos. But yeah, remember this guy, right? You go like that. Oh, right, really cool. Not very useful, but really cool. So the world is full of iBeers right now and Clippies, weird, dumb AI apps that maybe show some potential but don't actually work very well. That's fine. That's normal. That's innovation, right? You got to have all the dumb apps before you get the really good ones. But behind all these really impressive and cool and not so useful stuff, there's also some things that are maybe less sexy but actually extremely useful. That's what I'm focusing on, to learn, and I hope that you guys will, find these and build them and hopefully get to this little more mature state beyond the hype where it's just a tool and we use it as effectively as we can. So I'm going to basically show a bunch of demos. This thing isn't even ticking down. It still says 45. So how long time do I get to speak? This is cool. You're stuck with me the rest of the day now. I got a timer here that's not moving. I'll use my clock. So yeah, I'm going to do a bunch of demos. And you know how it is with demos, especially demos based on top of AI. They can blow up in my face, but whatever. That's never stopped me before. So we'll try. Because I want to show some ways that I find AI to be really, really useful in day-to-day work. So I'll show some different use cases and kind of talk and code a bit. So this is a quite unstructured talk with basically me just sitting coding and having conversations and talking to you guys. The first one I was going to show on the mobile, but I can't, so I'll just show it on the computer instead. But here I have a sketch of a little app that I would like to build, and you probably can't see that very well. So I took a photo of it just now. I drew this during the last talk, just on a napkin. So I want to build this. So and Barbara mentioned this during her talk. Quite interesting. This notion of you just have this rough idea and how can you quickly turn it into a prototype. And I'm pretty fascinated by how fast you can do that nowadays. So I'll do this using the web, but you can just as well do it on the phone, which is surprising by itself. Build an actual app really quickly on your phone. So all I'll do is just take that little screenshot, and we'll use a party trick that Claude can do right now, and no other model can do yet, but soon they're all going to be able to do it, I think, which is basically give it a screenshot and say, make it. So it's pretty good party trick, right? The funny thing is, yeah, let's see what it does. Yeah, it basically starts coding. GPT can do this too, but it can't run the code and show you the result, right? We're in this kind of exponential curve, so all this stuff that Model A can do but not Model B, they're all catching up to each other, right? So again, these kind of things, all the mobile to do. But that took like 10 seconds. And it's not only a mock-up, it's actually a running app, right? I gotta cook, right? And let's say I want to add features to it. I have the code behind it, of course, and it built a small React app. So let's say I want to have deadlines to it. And coding is so fast that it actually writes a whole new app now. Just writes a whole new app from scratch. It's a big waste of energy, but that's another topic. There we go. Let's make a new version of this app. And I don't care about the code quality right now. This is prototyping, right? So I even get I even get a pop-up here. And I need to do whatever that is there. I gave it a rather specific instruction, right? Add deadlines. Let's be a little more vague. This is ugly and boring. This is ugly. It is ugly. I don't get inspired by that, do you? I don't know. I think it's a bit ugly. Yeah. So there's my very not so specific instruction, which is the kind of conversations you might have during a prototyping session, right? This is ugly. And because it's so cheap to make new ones, I could have asked it to make 10 new ones and try some different ideas. Okay. Ugly or not, I don't know. Okay, it lost the deadline thing, right? You lost the deadline thing. Giving it feedback here, right? This is what it's all about. And maybe I could give it more guidance, make it more colorful, make it more, whatever design I'm interested in, right? Or make it just suggest some different designs. But again, it's just prototyping. So I'm gonna actually add an actual feature here. So there we go. Deadline is back. Hi. Let's see. I want the two tabs. Home and work. It understands from the context what I mean by that. So I don't need to be very specific, right? Just two tabs, right? Home and work. And it's making a ton of assumptions here all the time. And that's kind of the value of it, right? It's making a ton of assumptions. And it's up to me how specific or non-specific that I want to be. Bunch of code that I don't care about at all. Although it's kind of fun to see it be made. All right, some HTML. Sure. And let's see what pops up. Some script. All right, there we go. That's kind of nice. I can add stuff at work. I got the boring emails to do. And then I got home. I got to pick up the kids. There we go. And walk the dog is done. It's working, right? Um, let's add another kind of vague instruction, right? Make it angrier. I don't know what would you do with that, right? Let's see what happens. Yeah. Can the animation be switched up? Which animation? Watching it code like that? No. It's kind of simple, right? There's a lot of limitations here. This is a sandbox. It's all one single page. It can't do multi-page apps. It can't talk to external APIs. It's super primitive, but still super useful, right? All right, doing a lot here. So here's a question: while it's doing this code, when is this useful? Like, 'cause I mean, this is probably not the highest quality code, right? Oh, so there are people out there who say that AI cannot be creative. They're wrong. We can get very creative. If I stand here another 10 minutes, we can go really try it yourself, right? There's no limit to amount of creativity. But okay, so now here we have an angry to-do list, and we can yeah, whatever. Add another damn thing. Work hell, home crap. What work hell? Ask those freaking emails, right? Okay. So let's say I want to make an actual app out of this, right? So next step would be maybe to have some discussions. Because now let's say I'm happy with this prototype. This is obviously the thing I want to ship. So I would say, write a high-level design doc for this and a suggestion for a product backlog. No tech details, please. This is input for actual implementation. Please, this is input for actual implementation. Make an artifact. Now, this is artifact is what Claude calls it when it puts this thing over to the right. Um, so now I'm starting to think about, okay, I like this. I prototyped enough. I want to actually build something out of this now. So now it's going to create a little document for me. Here we go. Product overview. What is it? What are the key features? It's aggressive, user interaction, core functionality, deadline tracking, category switching, design philosophy, harsh handwritten typography, scalability considerations. I might ask it to shorten it a little bit. And here we have suggested product backlog. And then let's look at it. Epic core functionality. That seems pretty. Then add the angry stuff. Then improve the user UX. Then maybe add subtasks. These are good ideas. If this wasn't a quick demo, I'd probably spend 10 minutes iterating on this. I would give some feedback, suggest some things, a little back and forth, and I have the really useful document to bring into implementation, right? Um, and let's say, okay, I want to implement this as an iOS app. Give me a step-by-step guide. So again, we're taking our prototype and we want to kind of start moving towards an actual real app. And now it creates a second artifact with that. Very concrete, specific guide. It's so useful. It saves so much time. So I'm going to stop the demo here. But the next step, if I were to build this app, was to take this spec and this to-do list and continue iterating with AI. Right? Just ask it. Okay, do this step 1, do step 2, do step 3. I'll use AI help every step along the way, and I'll finish this whole thing within maybe an hour or two instead of spending days on it. So when you learn to use these kind of tools and some basic prompting techniques, productivity really skyrockets. It's really a useful tool. So, okay, that was demo number 1. And just interesting enough, you can do everything I did right now. You can just do it on your phone, just talk to it. Hey, make this app. Click, and then test it. Oh, it works fine. Gives some feedback. And you can literally take a walk while making, 10 prototypes for some idea. It's really weird. And this is today. Imagine in half a year, right? So very interesting times we live in. Now, what I want to show now is going to kind of more real development. And how many of you have tried the IDE called Cursor? Hand up. I'm really surprised because it's a real game changer, and this engineering team is incredible, but their marketing team apparently sucks. because everyone should use this tool. I'm not sponsored, by the way, but I probably should be. So what is this? It's an IDE, which is a fork of VS Code. So if you don't like VS Code, then tough luck. I didn't like VS Code. I'm a JetBrains kind of, I've been using that for years, but then I switched to this and I had to get used to it because it's AI native. So I'll show that in a moment. So how most people code with AI without cursor, right? The way we usually do it is here's your IDE, whichever one it is. GitHub Copilot, how many use that? Hand up. Almost everyone, right? Super useful, but it can only add code pretty much, right? It's quite limited, but it's useful in what it does. And then we do a ton of copy paste back and forth to ChatGPT or something like that. And it's hard to know which code to include. And if you get code that's bad, it's almost always because your context was wrong. You forgot to include something, or you wrote a bad prompt, like I mentioned before, because it's actually hard to know what code to give it, especially for complex applications. Well, no more. Goodbye. No more copy paste. This IDE, by the way, soon all IDEs are going to be like this. So I don't think they're going to be unique for long, but right now they are. Yeah, it's got AI built right in. So I guess I'll just show instead of talking about it. So the next use case is going to be a little more complex. I'm intentionally making it a little complex because I want it to be kind of realistic, right? We work with APIs, and that gets kind of icky. So let's build something slightly icky that works with APIs, but still small enough to fit in a talk. A bit optimistic, I know, but we'll try. So just kind of some context there. When you use ChatGPT, for example, or Claude, you're using an application, and the application itself uses a model behind the scenes, and it does that via an API. So when you build a product, you can also use that API and build your own stuff. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to build a tiny little product, and the simplest thing I could come up with was let's make a clone of ChatGPT, but cost aware, because every time you talk to the API, you actually pay a cost per token. So I'm going to make a simple AI chat, kind of like this, but which takes into account that everything costs, right? And I'll do it from scratch with as much AI help as possible. And it's going to get a bit icky because I have to talk to an external API, right? So we're making it a little bit complicated for ourselves. This is Cursor. Over here to the left, we have a chat. Hello. And it's hello. And it's just a chat. Now it's basically ChatGPT, but you can choose. So down here, I chose Sonnet. I can also choose GPT or other models, right? So you get this kind of model agnostic thing. And what I want to do is build, let's say, write a spike script, just a technical spike that talks to the OpenAI API and uses the chat completion API. Let's use Python for now. I suck at Python, but that's actually good because then I need even more AI help. Yeah, go for it. So does it know the OpenAI API? I don't know. Sometimes, this is like flipping a coin, right? But if it does know it, then you just saved a ton of time. It'll just work. If it doesn't work, then you have to, fiddle around a little bit. So let's take this thing, which needs to be done, right? Oh, it actually made a whole chat thing. That was more than I expected. Not just a spike, but okay. So we go here, we go, they call chat dot py, like that. This would be the same using JavaScript or Java, some other language. It's pretty much the same stuff. So, okay, so it did a little more than I expected. It built a whole chat loop. And I'm going to kind of deliberately not even look at the code right now. I'm just going to run it and hope for the best. Chat. I would give my odds 50-50, right? Hi. Okay, you tried to access blah, blah, blah. This is no longer supported in OpenAI. Yeah, this is what happens. You're using API. Either it was trained on that version or not. Now, it didn't work. So, next step. Again, I'm trying to be as lazy as possible, right? Before I start thinking too much, just give it back and say, just give it the error message and then hope for the best. Okay. So here's a blah, 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 blah. Here's an updated version of the script. That's the part I like. Okay. And I'm going to press apply. Yeah, apply. And it changes my code, and I say accept. That's why I like Cursor. No more copy paste. It edits my code. Very nice. Okay, we run it. Okay, now what? Oh, I need an environment variable. OpenAI key. Okay, so let's pretend I had to go figure out how to do that. I picked up my key, and I have one stored right here. And I'm going to reset it next time so don't get any ideas. And I need to set an environment variable. And let's say I forgot how to do that. So I want to just go like that. Let's go here, right? And I'll go use a shortcut key to ask it to do stuff. And I'll say, use this one. Export, blah, 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 blah. Okay, sure. Great. It just set an environment variable for me. And now we can run the game, run the program. Okay. Hi. All right. Cool. What are you? You can't see this in the back. I'm sorry. But okay. But it's basically working. Right. Big applaud to Claude. Come on. Give him some encouragement. So it figured it out. If it hadn't figured it out, I would have gone to the documentation and done it the old way. Just find the code example, put it in, and just make a working technical spike, right? So we can always fall back to the old way. And once we got that little thing working, then AI can help us with the rest, right? So this is quite typical. It failed first, gave it some feedback, then it fixed it, and the fallback would have been just go to the documentation, right? But now I have some kind of chat loop. Great. Now let's do what we actually want to do. But first, a little detour. Go here, and I'll just do the same thing again. This is an ugly UI. Make it a bit prettier. Maybe add some color. And it has my chat in the context. It says there, chat.py. This file is always in context. But I can add other files. So if I have multiple files in my project, I can kind of tag them here, or tag a folder, or tag my whole darn project. I'll show you later. So instead of copy pasting a bunch of code, you just kind of point at it and say, that code, that's the code that I care about right now. So that's why I can get away with these really super short prompts, right? Because it has my context. Okay, it's done. Apply. In real life, I would look at this code a little bit more than I'm doing now, but now I'm accelerating things, right? I'm just being naive and dumb and just assuming it works. It also depends on how curious you are. Maybe you want to know how to do these things, right? Maybe you're like, how do I do colored stuff in Python? There's some kind of colorama. I might ask, edit. I read a little, what is this, right? And I ask quick question. Oh, blah, blah, colorama, and what is it? Like, blah. You can kind of be curious. You can learn stuff. But okay, let's run it. Let's make it a bit bigger. Hi. What are you? It's a little bit prettier. I don't know. It's a step along the way, right? Okay, but the actual goal was to show the cost, right? So let's say add a token counter. I want to see how much tokens it's using. All right, what's it doing? Here's a model of what's it doing. Tokenizer, tick token. So the nice thing is it's showing what it wants to do. And I can sanity check that and see, is it in the right direction? I'm like, no. The OpenAI API returns token information. So I don't want it to kind of separately calculate it. So what I'm going to do now is it needs more context. So what I'm going to do now is actually go to the OpenAI docs. There. And I'm going to look it up the old way. Yes, sometimes we need to do things the old way. And we'll go to chat and blah, blah, blah. And here's the documentation. Here's a little hello world for Python. And here's the response you get. I could also just have logged it in my code, right? Log the response. But now I'll just do this. And I'll say, add a token counter, get it from the API response. I'm editing my previous prompt now, which is another technique, right? Go back and just edit the prompt. Because this result down here, I don't care about it. There, pasting it in. So I'm giving it the context it needs. It already has my code. It just didn't know about tokens being included in the response. So that's how ChatGPT tells you, how GPT model tells you what your requests are costing, right? Okay, it's doing stuff, and I'll just decide to trust it and just go like this, accept, and I might not want to use that model, but we'll get to that in a moment. Okay, hi. Tokens used 27. Okay, that sounds about reasonable. And that should increase, right? Oh, now it's getting really confused by what I wrote. Okay, there. Yeah, another. He's using token. Great. Also show the total. So here's a question for you. I have not technically typed a line of code. How many of you would say that I'm right now coding? Hand up. And how many would say that I'm not coding? Interesting. That's cool. All right. Yeah, because I feel like I'm coding. I'm not typing the letters, but I really feel like I'm coding here. And it's actually really fun because I'm coding like 10 times faster than I normally would have done. So I get the little dopamine kick more often, which is nice. Okay, here we go. Hey, hello. I'll type that. And assistant goes tokens used 27. Wait, did I even add that code? Maybe I didn't. There. Oh, I forgot to add it. Duh, right? You need to tell me these things. You know, pair programming, mob programming. Your job is to make me feel awesome, right? So if I make mistakes, you got to shout out. Otherwise, I don't feel awesome. Okay. Hello. There. Total tokens. Oh, cool. That's not what we wanted, though. We want the cost, right? So let's go back to, I think we'll need to look that up. I mean, what's 27 tokens in money? Do you know? No, I don't know either. So let's OpenAI pricing. Now, it is possible to give this URL and just paste it in. In theory, it works. In practice, not that often. So I find it's in the future, that will be the typical case. You just give it the URL. If your information is here, just look at here. Or that it'll even surf by on its own. But the technology is not quite there yet. So I have to go through the major hassle of taking a screenshot here and going add cost. There. I gave it that screenshot and add the cost. Now I just realized, wait a second, I'm using the wrong model. So again, we'll fix that in a moment. But first, let's put this code in and apply. Okay, I added that, and I want to make a constant out of the model. Make a constant out of the model. I could do this using shortcut keys in the IDE. It would be really fast. But you know, I'm getting really lazy now. It's so nice just to say do it, right? So let's do it. A little refactorings. There's a constant. Great. And I want to use this model GPT-4o. You know, I could be kind of fancy and say that it should have the cost per model and make a fancy version. It's just one prompt away. I won't bother with it right now. But if I wanted to do it, again, it's trivial. So a lot of things that, sure, I could have written this code myself, but it would have taken 10 times longer at least, right? Okay, here we go. Hello. Cost, 0. Why does it say 0? What do you think? Oh, 001. Right, we need more decimal places. And actually, I'll do that. Wait, yeah, you know, I'll just show you a little trick you can do also in actual code, right? So where are we showing the chat with GPT? Where are we setting the decimal places? Never mind, those two here. More decimal places. There. It's possible to select a bunch of code and just go use a little shortcut key and just ask it to change that code in place, which is even faster. So if you know where the change is to be, like this piece of code, I want to refactor it or make it a change from one type of loop to another, just mark that code and just change it, and it does it, right? So, but I won't do that now. I'll just use this, which it gave me, and I'll go apply, accept. It changed it back. GPT-4o, don't change this. Damn it, right? You could also add special instructions. There you can add a file called .cursor rules, right? Leave the model alone, or don't change variables without asking me, right? Don't change constants without asking me. So let's do that, right? Or something like that. And that's just standing instructions, right? So little things like that, you kind of got to tame this little animal helping you. Yeah, let's play this little thing. Hi. There we go. Okay, and hi again. I'm being very uncreative here. Cost is going up. That's nice. More decimal places. Cool. I'll wrap this up by saying make a web app out of it. I'm tired of this damn console. I don't know how to make web apps in Python, but I don't care. Because my friend here knows exactly how to do it. Move. And okay, was that it? And I got it. Oh God, Jesus, all this work I got to do. Create a file index.inside templates folder. I got to make. They can't. Cursor can't create new files yet. It can, but it's not so good at it yet. They'll fix that. So, but right now I got to go through the incredible hassle of making an actual file. There we go. Okay, there's a web server, and here's our chat. Hi. Okay, that's not so bad. for about 20 seconds of work, but it is ugly. I think that's ugly. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. So yeah, let's unuglify this a little bit. Blah 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 blah. I'm sure this is perfectly great. Again, in real life, you decide which code you care about. Now this is a demo, and I only want to spend a few seconds on this, so I'm just not caring about anything. In real life, I would probably care a little bit more about the code. Plus, it's a good way to learn, right? You know, maybe I do want to learn a bit how to make web apps in Python. Right? Okay. Hi. There. Cool. Now I want this little total to be on the side a little bit. So we'll say move the cost total to a separate widget on the side. There we go. All right. That's another nice thing. When you do copy paste coding via ChatGPT, you got to watch out for things like that, right? It puts placeholders. Ignore this. You know, this is just like it puts little so you can't just copy paste it. You got to think about it. Move the relevant parts. With Cursor, it kind of figures that out for you. So it will only make the actual changes, and you can inspect them before you make the changes as well. So that's kind of nice. Okay. Here we go. Total cost. Hi there. Tell me a really bad joke. Total cost is going up. That costed me, right? A little bit. But okay. That was demo number 2. Working with Cursor. What? Angry. Oh, we got to make it angry. Make it angry. Thank you very much. We cannot not make it angry. This is going to be a trend now, right? We're all going to be building angry apps. Here we go. Oh, okay. This is serious stuff now. Okay. Challenge accepted. I hear Claude's telling me here. Apply. Accept. Angry. Hi. Okay, that's good. Great. Yeah. So, yeah. So let's continue. As I said, it's gonna be coding and talking here. Legacy code, working with existing code, right? That's what we do most of the time, anyway. So I'll show an example. This is a little game I built called Whodunit. I won't go through in detail. It's just an example of legacy code. It's something I built a while ago. I kind of forgot how I built it. It's an AI-powered mystery game where you try to solve mysteries. So you pick a mystery, and then you everything is auto-generated. All the images, all the mysteries, all the content. I just went bananas with AI generation. So and so here's a generated mystery, and welcome detective, solve this, and you interrogate people, try to figure out who solved it. And then you've got to convince the detective who solved it. And if you can convince them, then you'll find out if you got the right person. In this case, I didn't, so I failed. I was a bad detective. And it writes a newspaper article about all the horrible things that happened because I was such a bad detective. It's not a super complicated game, but it's also not trivial. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. There's like a AWS Lambda for some things that take too long time. It talks to Dolly for image generation, talks to OpenAI for this and that, and puts images in Amazon some buckets somewhere. There's a lot of stuff happening. So I'll use that as a proxy for some kind of legacy code, right? And now let's do stuff with it. So I will fire it up locally. Let's open up that project in Cursor and run it locally. So here it is. Here's the code. Is this okay font size? I'll say that. I'll take that as a yes. Silence means yes. So yeah, here's a bunch of source, and over down here there's a lambda, and then it's a bit of a mess, to be honest. Semi-structured mess. But okay, it's running now, I think. If you want to try it yourself, you can just surf to whodunit.kniberg.com. It's up and running. It's actually kind of fun. But I will use the local version, I think, so that we can tinker with it. There it is. But let's run it. Localhost 3000. Okay. So it's running locally. I need to give it a GPT key here in order to test it. So I'll use that same key that I had before. There we go. Okay, there's the game. Now I want to make changes to it. So let's say, first of all, we can discuss some design options here. I'll do that, and I'll go there. Let's first have a discussion. In fact, let's first start with this. What is this product? Question mark. And I'll give it the whole code base's context. This is laziness. What is this product? Right? It goes through the code. It's indexed the code, and it does lots of LLM voodoo behind the scenes, and it tells me what this game is. Exactly how it works, what it does. I won't read through it in detail, but I can see already now this is correct. It's a very good description of what this game does, how it works. And I can say describe the gameplay loop at a high level. Great way to just learn, just to navigate your legacy code, right? And the player starts by generating a new mystery introduction, investigation phase, information gathering. It's great. And summarize the architecture, key components. My spelling is horrible right now. Doesn't matter. That's a nice thing. Doesn't matter. It understands. So front end using React, Next, Chakra UI, backend, blah blah, MongoDB, AWS S3. It just gives me the whole story. Really useful. But okay, let's put this in here and say, what are some alternative layouts? Don't give me code, just some options. And yeah, now I'm bouncing ideas, right? A little bit. List view, carousel, tabbed categories, map view. These are some ideas. Now, I'm going to copy paste this. I'm going to cheat. I did this earlier today just to save some time. Copy paste that description to Claude and say, build all of them. So here we go. As prototypes. So we could use that view, or we could use carousel layout, maybe would be something like that. This is all runnable prototypes, right? Would have taken a UX person or anybody probably hours, right, to make all of these. So it just saves such an incredible amount of time and gives you some ideas. So okay, let's go like this again. I'll say I want to be able to toggle between this card-based view and a simple table view where each mystery is one row in the table. Where do I make that change? I don't know. And I'll just let it figure it out. So now it's searching the code like I would have done. It's like, ooh, where do I do this? Digging around. It's like, it's here, lobby page, it says. Already now it saved a lot of time. Even if it failed everything else, it already showed me which code file do I need to do stuff inside, right? Very useful. Lobby page, I can check, does it seem to be the right page? Okay. And then it actually also made the change. So let's see, what exactly did it say here? Let's modify it, right? Include a toggle button. Okay, sure. Wait, was that it? Or was it down here? Oh, here's the actual change, whatever. Sometimes it gives you the same thing twice and you get a bit confused. Now it's making an actual change. And normally I would sanity check this. Does it seem to be doing the right thing? Like, but again, I'll speed it up a little bit now. There's a change made. And it also wants to create a new component. That's nice. In the past, it would tend to create a bunch of technical debt, but now it's actually doing good design. It's like, let's make a separate component called a mystery table. And there. Okay, and do I need to do anything else? I copied that in, right? And don't forget to import. Okay, sure. I'll not forget to do that. There. All right. That's red there. That makes me a bit nervous, but we'll see what happens. There we go. I don't know. It's not so bad. But I want to see the images in there. So I want to see the mystery cover image in each row. Do it. All right, let's modify the mystery table here. And dum 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 dum. This is a great way to learn. I learned a lot about React and Next.js while making this game just by looking at the code that it made for me. So, okay, let's apply it. Apply the entire file. Accept. There we go. Okay, good job, Claude. Give him applause. Like this is, we're making this guy work very hard. So that's just an example of fiddling around with legacy code, right? It's surprisingly effective using tools like this. So I just have like another 4 minutes. We'll have to do questions in the break or something because we probably won't have time. But just some kind of food for thought, right? First of all, one food for thought is, damn, this saves time. Imagine all this code I wrote now, right? In about 20 minutes or something like that. How long would it? It would have taken hours, maybe days. The amount of time you save is incredible once you start learning these techniques and tools. But then the question is, okay, what about the joy of coding? Well, how many here like to code? Um, I love coding, right? But this doesn't take that away because the actual fun is not the coding, it's the making. It's the making stuff. And we're still making stuff. We're just making it faster. So I don't feel like it's taking away anything from me. Plus, I can decide my level of laziness, right? I can decide to write all the code myself whenever I want to. Or I can ask it to suggest things and write it myself. Or I can ask it to write code and I tweak it. Or ask it to write the code and I just skim it and sanity check. Or I can ask it to write the code and I don't even look at it, right? It's your choice. I normally do this most often, but sometimes I do that. Sometimes it's up to the left. So your attention is a limited resource. And now you can choose where you spend it, right? What code do you care about? It also depends on how much do you trust the model to change this code, how hard is the code, and how business critical is the code. So you're still kind of in control, but you have this AI buddy that kind of just saves time. So quality. Well, you can't blame the model, right? It's still your responsibility. So if it starts producing technical debt, you got to fix it or ask it to fix it. You can't blame it. But it tends to adapt to whatever code you have. So try to keep your code clean because then it will keep it clean too. If you have a mess of a code, it will tend to just add more duct tape on top of it. So that's kind of a trade-off. So little, prompts like this, let's refactor this file is getting too big, and then it'll do that really nice, typically, if you give it the right context. But using tools like Cursor, that's a lot easier than copy-pasting to ChatGPT. So here's a quick debugging guide. What if your code doesn't work, or the code it generated doesn't work? Well, either you're using a shitty model, could be. Don't do that. Use the, pay up, right? Use Claude or GPT-4 or one of the good ones. Or AI is clumsy, but it isn't really. You're probably using a shitty model if it seems clumsy. Your prompt was bad is a common case, or you didn't provide the necessary context is a common case. Or you're using an API that wasn't really, really well known. So maybe switch to a more well-known alternative. Or maybe you just give it the docs, right? Or maybe you're just using an updated version of that API. So make a decision, give it the information it needs, or use an older version just to save time, right? So just a high-level kind of debugging guide, right? But okay, I will skip ahead a little bit and kind of get to what I think we all need to do. And now I'm stealing from Kent Beck. I don't know if he's in this room, but he's somewhere in this conference. And there's this lovely kind of quote from him. This tweet that he put up, where you've probably seen it, but the value of 90% of my skills just dropped to 0, and the leverage for the remaining 10% just went up 1,000 times. That's kind of what I see happening now with development. That we need to recalibrate how we spend our time because the writing of the code is no longer the important part. That's what AI can do that really well. The other parts become even more important: architecture, design, customer interaction, etc. So traditional coding is a lot of understanding the problem for a little bit and then spending a lot of time wrestling with code. Copy paste with external chat like ChatGPT. Spend some time understanding the problem. Spend a bunch of time transporting code back and forth, and then save time because you spend less time wrestling with code, right? And then more modern tools like Cursor, then understanding the problem. You can spend more time doing that now. Transporting code almost goes away, and you save a ton of time. And all that you get to use for either building more features, spending more time learning, fixing the quality. It's a nice thing, right? You get to decide how you want to spend your time. So yeah, I think we all need to go through this kind of recalibration exercise of looking at how do I spend my time? What should I continue doing? Where can AI help me? What can AI do instead of me? And what should I do with my extra time? So yeah, coding. This is my guess about the future, right? Little kid saying, "Hey, grandma, is it true that humans used to write code manually?" And she's like, "Yeah, amazing, right?" And the kid's like, "Wasn't that really hard?" She's like, "Yeah, we were slow. We made a lot of mistakes." So maybe, just like we're not, punch cards used to be really important to know about, assembly language. Like, this is stuff we don't care about anymore. The compilers do that for the most of the part. We're up here, and now we're raising the abstraction level even higher, right? So code is maybe going to stay relevant for a while, but the typing of it is not going to really, I think it's not going to be a human job. Right now, it still is. Humans need to be in the loop, right? Developers are needed, but our role changes. So it's not really about coding anymore. So last slide, the wrap-up slide, the stuff I hope you'll remember. There's a carrot and there's a stick here, right? The carrot is this can give you superpowers as a developer. It's a nice feeling, getting super productive. The stick is if you don't learn this stuff, you'll be unemployable in the future. It'll be like a developer that refuses to use the internet, right? You'll be too slow. So there's both a carrot and a stick. Biggest limitation is your skills as prompt engineering and as a prompt engineer and the tools you use. AI plus human together. AI will not create the product for you. You need to work together. So it's a colleague. It doesn't replace you. It works with you. And yeah, so I think developers are still needed, will be needed for, at least as far as I can think of in the future, but our role changes fairly radically. So yeah, think about how you spend your time. And finally, I hope this talk helped you move a little bit towards the middle of this scale. So thank you very much.